Alright, we still have 1 more minute. I'd like to first know if you can hear me. I'd like to hear your feedback about my voice, if you can hear me loud and clear. Anybody?
Sir, okay lang.
Okay lang? Alright, sige. Alright, it's already 10 o'clock, so we get to start while others are still joining. I hope that you get to see me as I'm turning on my video. So many are still joining. We are around 17 in this group already, so as the days go by, as the lessons go by, we get to go smaller and smaller in terms of the number. Alright, so without further masyado, let me give you a feedback. You give me a feedback of whatever that is that you're having. Or am I giving you hard activities? How are you coping up with your activities science along with your ESP? Is it okay lang ba, or some others are demanding siguro na wala bang mas mahirap pa nito? Anybody like to just kumustahin yung kanyo, yung ginagawa nyo ngayon? Okay lang ba? Musta? Ang tahimik.
Sir, okay lang.
Okay lang? Alright, I was checking yesterday, no, yung mga ginawa nyo for the first quarter for me to be able to compute already your first quarter grades. And I get to see that there are some few of you who just pass while others are actually complete, but around mga 80% did not pass at all. So just give you a reminder, no, na am I disconnected? All right. Just give you a reminder of you passing it on time, because then again, no, we only have few more weeks for us to meet, and by first or second week of February, March, will be ending already your science. Now, I don't like you to be yung hinahabol nyo ako by that day na, kasi just to realize that natatagilid kayo sa mga grado nyo. And yun na nga I'm kasi if you're not going to pass this one's on time, and you'll be starting another set of subjects by the this is I think the 5th batch, yung magsa-start na naman ng March until the end of the school year, which is May. Matatabunan yung gagawin nyo. Kaya I'm trying to encourage you to at least inot-inot, no, meron kayong natapos agad, just send it right away. Alright? Now, whenever I give you performance tasks, as you can you get to see in your first quarter, you are to make that kite. Now, I get to see that some of you just showed me a photo of the kite. Some of you showed me you and you making the kite, while there are also some few who actually talagang pinalipad nila yung kite nila. As I'm looking of those who are passing their kites, I'm trying to weigh it kung talaga bang lilipad yung kite by just looking at it, no? Kasi I was looking, there were some of you who made kites that are really very small. Some of you I saw you made kites using sticks that are really very thick, na makapal masyado, na baka mabigat masyado yung kite, hindi yun lilipad, no? Kasi what you're supposed to use is just yung iit lang, no? Yung walis, the broomstick, yun lang dapat yun. Anyway, I'm still glad that there are some of you who are actually enjoyed making that one. That's the reason why I'd like you to continue for the rest. However, just to give you heads up, like I said, let's get to discuss what do you think among the 3 laws of motion of Isaac Newton. What do you think was the one applicable for the flying of the kite? Kasi meron to, lumabas to sa quiz nyo eh. Anybody would like to guess?
Sir, second law?
Second law, alright, second law. How about the others? Anybody? Ala, isa lang yung estudyante ko. Yung nasa malayo pa yung sumagot. Anybody? I just want to guess. Hello, are you there? Are you with me? Am I disconnected? Disconnected ba ako? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Oo. Anybody? Sa tatlong laws of motion ni Isaac Newton, ano sa palagay nyo yung applicable na motion doon, na law doon na applicable, no? Na nagpalipad nung kite, no?
Law of acceleration.
Alright, that would be the same answer of Miss Longshab, no? Alright, so second law. Anybody? Alright. Para makastart na tayo doon sa new lesson natin. Maybe one more person needs to guess.
Sir, yung first.
Alright.
Law of interaction.
Some also has answered law of interaction. So there's some few of you, no? But for us to be able to appreciate that more, no? The flight of the kite is actually being managed by 2 out of the 3 laws of motion of Isaac Newton. That would be your second law and your third law. Alright, so if some of you answered about the second law, which is the law of acceleration, which is correct, no? Kasi the force that will be able to be flying, no, doon sa sky is being governed by, syempre sabi ko nga, yung iba gumamit sa inyo ng bamboo stick na makapal, no, na nagpapabigat ng kite nun, mahihirapan si wind na tumulak nun. It needs to exert more effort for it to be able to put that one to fly. However, at the same time, this is the law of interaction that whenever the wind pushes the kite also pushes the wind. So kung paano man yung direction ng wind, no, doon din lilipad si kite, no, in an opposite direction of the same force, no, na being exerted by the wind. Hindi nyo rin mapapalipad yung kite nyo pag walang force ni wind doon. So merong action and reaction doon with your wind and your kite. So ang answer doon is your second and your third law of motion. Alright, so for some of you who are not able to take the quiz, kasi merong kasing isang nag-take ng quiz ng taga section C, no, that you're supposed to put there your name, pero nilagay niyang name Isaac Newton. So hindi ko malaman kung sino nag-answer nun at paano ko i-re-record yung in-answer mo sa quiz. So anybody from section C na nag-answer nung quiz ng madaling araw at around 4 AM, whoever you are, please PM me for me to be able to know that you are that one, no? Alas 4 ng madaling araw niya tinake yung quiz na yon. At ang nilagay niyang pangalan, supposedly pangalan niya, nilagay niyang pangalan is Isaac Newton. Patay na po si Isaac Newton. Alright? So let's start, no, by I'll be sharing to you my screen. Alright, nawawala si Kwan. Just for a while. My connection is okay lang ba yung connection ko? Kasi I'm seeing that my screen is refresh palagi. Okay lang ba yung screen ko? Mr. Bandaw, kumusta yung connection ko?
Sir, okay lang.
Okay lang?
Yes, sir.
Alright, let me share to you my screen for our lesson today. Alright, so we start with your lesson 8 already, no? So actually we're advanced of one week, no, which is supposed to be ngayon yung start ng second quarter natin, but we are one lesson ahead of our scheduled second quarter. So this is already your lesson 8 out of the 7 to 9 lessons for your second quarter. So by next week, no, more or less matatapos na tayo with our second quarter. So ganun tayo kabilis, no. And I hope that hindi naman ako masyadong nagbigay ng maraming activities for your second quarter. Alright, so recap of the last lesson. Anong lesson natin last week? You can unmute your microphones. Kasi I just want to know if you are there. May natutulog pa, ino-on lang yung mga kanila, yung mga connection, yung mga... What was our lesson last week? Anybody?
Earthquake.
Sir, about earthquake.
Alright, earthquakes, no? So, we talked about your earthquakes, which is actually one of the things also na very common sa atin dito. Lately, if you get to hear news, no, we have many earthquakes happening, especially in Mindanao. Alright. This time, no, we get to transit also with another thing, no, that we can relate on to, because one of those things also is something that's really very rampant here in the Philippines. So without further much ado, talk about your lesson number 8, which is your typhoons. Alright, typhoons. So lahat naman siguro naka-experience sa atin ng typhoon. Huh? Sino bang hindi pa naka-experience ng typhoon? Anybody? Umiiwas sa'yo si typhoon. So I'm thinking that maybe most of you already have experienced typhoon. So ano yung pinaka-latest na pinakamalaking sumira ng typhoon natin lately? It actually affected yung flood sa Cagayan, no? And also some parts of southern Luzon. You still remember what's the name of that typhoon?
Typhoon Ulysses, sir?
Yes, no? That's Typhoon Ulysses. If you can still remember also one of those typhoon that caused destructions in Tacloban in Leyte. You still remember that one? That was considered as one of the super typhoons that devastated around mga 3,000 people, no, nang namatay doon. Still remember that one? I think you're still grade 6 by that time or grade 5. Anybody could still remember that very devastating typhoon that happened in Visayas, specifically in Tacloban? You still remember?
Sir, Typhoon Ompong?
No, not Typhoon Rampong. Another guess.
Typhoon Yolanda.
Alright, Typhoon Yolanda. Typhoon Yolanda is the correct answer. Alright, let's get to know more about typhoons. Alright? So you get to see that Philippines, no? Pag nakikita nyo yung Philippines, do you have any estimates of how many typhoons does it pass through us in the Philippines every year? Meron ba kayong mga estimation? Do you know how many typhoons it passes every year, in average, every year in the Philippines?
Sir, 20.
Alright, 20, no? Around 20. To be honest with you, 20. I don't know if this is something that is really very unfortunate for the Philippines. Because if you get to see, no, we talked about earthquake last week and we are always being affected by earthquake. And at the same time, we have also another natural calamity, which is typhoon, which is also really very rampant in the Philippines. Alright, so how do typhoons form? No? It says here, when combinations of two air masses of different characteristics join, weather disturbances happen and typhoon is formed. Alright, so dalawang air masses. Ano ba yung dalawang air masses na yan nagkukos sa atin ng typhoon? Alright? Let's get to proceed first before I'm going to delve deep into this formation of typhoons. Let's go first here. Right. Baka medyo malito kayo, no? Sa pangalan. Just earlier, if you get to see the screen, it says here typhoons. On this next slide, you get to see also another name, which is tropical cyclone. Any other words that you have encountered before that describe something like this, yung malakas na hangin na umiikot? Alright, we have tropical cyclone, was just mentioned here. We have typhoon. There is still one more term that is being used, no? That's actually, this means the same pa rin. Any idea kung ano yung pangalan ng isang pangalan na yun para hindi tayo magkakalito-lito mamaya? Alright, so we have
Sir,
typhoon.
hurricane.
Yes, alright. Very good, no? The answer would be hurricane. So, ano ba ang pagkakaiba ng typhoon, ng tropical cyclone, at ng hurricane? Anybody
Sir,
would like
they're
to
all
guess?
the same.
Ha? Yes? Sige, continue.
Sir, they're all the same, but some are speaking more in a different country.
Alright, very good, very good. No? That would be the exact point of it, no? That I'll be explaining later on. Alright. A tropical cyclone refers to a wind system that circulates around a low pressure center. Sabi, dyan no, low pressure center. Alright? Whenever, no, sino ba yung known ngayon na kwan? Known natin ngayon na weather forecaster. Sino yung kilala natin ngayon na nagre-report ng weather sa news? Anybody? Sino yung naririnig nyo? Do you watch news? In my time, the known weather forecaster or weather newscaster would be Ernie Baron. Na in ABS-CBN, after Ernie Baron, meron pong sumunod sa kanya. Sino kaya yun? Before nung na-shutdown yung ABS-CBN, you know who's the person who reports about the weather in ABS-CBN?
No, sir.
Ha? Anybody?
No, sir.
Kilala nyo yun. Lagi siyang nakasombrero. Yes?
Sir,
Kuya
si Kuya
Kim.
Kim.
Alright, that would be Kuya Kim. However, since ABS-CBN was shut down, no, we have only left natin ngayon is GMA. You still also remember who's that person who reports about weather in GMA?
No, sir.
Anybody? It starts with letter T, yung pangalan niya. Tawag nila Mang
Ted.
Mang Ted. Hindi. Another guess. Malapit. Another guess. Ala, hindi kayo nanonood ng news?
Mang Tomas.
Mang Tomas, hindi na. hindi ka pa ata
Sir,
siguro
Mang
nagbe-breakfast. Yeah, alright. That would be Mang Tani, no? Si Mang Tani. Alright, so parang tingnan natin, no, as kailangan nating makilala yung mga taong 'yon. But if you get to watch, no, there's different mga weather news, no, that talks about like merong papalapit na typhoon. Ano yung itsura ng isang wala pang typhoon pero alam nyo merong papalapit na typhoon. My question would be, where do typhoons form? Is it in a high pressure area or a low pressure area? Anybody would like to guess?
Sir, high pressure.
High pressure, alright? Another guess would be siguro, tingnan natin. I'm not going to say first the correct answer. Some other guess.
Low pressure.
Alright, if you get to see the weather news, no, just like Mang Tani and Kuya Kim, nakakita nyo doon sa screen nila na pinapakita nila yung mapa ng Pilipinas and merong nakasulat doon na tatlong letra, LPA. Anong meaning ng LPA?
Low pressure area.
Alright. In that case, pag nakakita tayo ng LPA, meaning merong pwedeng posibleng mamumuong typhoon. And then the answer of that question would be, typhoons, tropical cyclones, and hurricanes actually form in a low pressure area. Right? So kung saan sa part sa Pilipinas merong LPA or low pressure area, no? It may develop into typhoon, it may not develop into typhoon. Depende po sa nagsusupply ng fuel ang papalakas nung LPA na yun. Let's go and get to know more about those different terms. Alright. Sorry. This should be tropical cyclone. Tropical cyclone is a general term used for this type of weather disturbances. In science, when you talk about yung mga ganito, ang general term po natin is tropical cyclone. No, tropical cyclone. But in this case, tama yung sinabi ni Mr. Cañero na it may be, no, called differently in different parts of the earth. Alright? So, what is it called in the US or in European countries? Yung tropical cyclone na pinag-uusapan natin, ano yung tawag nila dyan ng tropical cyclone sa United States and even in the European countries?
Hurricane.
Alright, very good. No, hurricane ang answer dyan. So, if you have your note, you can write that one as part of your notes na hurricane po ang tawag ng tropical cyclone in the US and in the European countries. In the Philippines and other Asian countries, anong tawag natin sa tropical cyclone? Anybody? Oh, tama yung sinabi ni Miss Landoca, no, na it's in the US and in the European countries we call it hurricane. However, in the Philippines, ano tawag natin dyan? And even Asian countries. Hello? Baka disconnected ako. Anybody?
Thunderstorm.
Sir, bagyo.
Bagyo. Yun yung Tagalog natin na term, bagyo. Tama yun. Pero ano yung bagyo? Or, kasi hindi naman alam ng mga, ng mga Hapon yung bagyo. Hindi naman alam yung Chinese yung bagyo. Pero, we have that foreign term na ginagamit sa Asian countries and the Philippines. Ano tawag natin? If in the US, in the Europe, it's called hurricane. In the Philippines and the Asian countries, ano yung tawag dyan sa tropical cyclone?
Thunderstorm.
Typhoon.
Thunderstorm, typhoon, alright. Ang tamang answer is typhoon. Alright? In the US, in the European countries, usually they call it hurricane. They never use the term typhoon. However, in the Philippines and other Asian countries, we call that one typhoon. So, ganun po, no? It's just being used in different countries yung term na typhoon at saka ng hurricane. But they mean the same. However, in a science general term, tinatawag natin yan tropical cyclone. So, when scientists talks about with fellow scientists about this type of weather disturbance, we call that one your tropical cyclone. However, people in the western countries call that one hurricane. However, in the eastern countries like the Philippines and other Asian countries, we call that one your typhoon. Alright. Oh, you know about Typhoon Yolanda? Diba? Alam nyo, kilala nyo si Typhoon Yolanda.
Yes, sir.
Alright. Do you know the western name of Typhoon Yolanda? Kasi pag meron tayong pangalan dito sa atin in the Asian country, we call that one Typhoon Yolanda. Meron din silang tawag niyan sa US and European countries. Anong tawag ni Typhoon Yolanda in the western country? Do you have any idea? Pwede niyong i-google.
Sir, Typhoon Haiyan.
Alright.
Haiyan.
Alright. Very good. We don't call that one your Typhoon Haiyan because yung typhoon is for the Asian countries. We call that one your Hurricane Haiyan. In the US and the European countries, tawag dyan Hurricane Haiyan. In the eastern countries like the Philippines and the Asian countries, we call that one your Typhoon Yolanda. Alright, so ganun, no? So, wag kayong magtaka pag may iba yung tawag doon sa US ng Typhoon Yolanda at tawag natin sa atin Typhoon Yolanda pero hindi pala natin alam na si Haiyan pala at saka si Yolanda are just the same tropical cyclone. Alright, do you get the point? Naintindihan nyo yung
Yes,
difference
sir.
na ngayon? Alright, so someday if you get to go to Western countries, migrate there and even work there, no, don't be surprised kung iba-iba yung pangalan nila. Kasi doon nga, no, iba din yung style ng tawag doon sa ibang countries. Alright, let's continue. In the Eastern countries like Philippines, yun, sabi ko na, na-explain ko na. So, typhoons, tapos hurricanes. Alright, let's continue. So, tawag ko, no, let me ask you, what fuels a typhoon? From the low pressure area, no, minsan nagiging typhoon yan. Ano kaya yung parang nagpapalakas sa typhoon? Anybody? Meron kayong idea kung anong nagpapalakas sa typhoon?
Sir, warm, moist air.
Alright, very good, no? I think I get to see that one in your module, which is the warm, moist air. Warm, moist air. Napansin nyo ngayong panahon natin? Do you feel the coldness of our weather today?
Yes, sir.
Ang lamig,
Sir.
ano? Pero
Yes, sir.
napansin nyo, nung malamig masyado dito sa lugar natin, hindi umuulan? Napansin nyo? And the last weeks we're in, medyo hindi ganun kalamig, umuulan ng hapon? Napansin nyo?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Ganun, di ba? So, tama yung sinabi ni Mr. Cañero na warm, moist air. It's when that time na medyo mainit that we get to expect there will be weather disturbances and typhoon may happen. So, warm, moist air. Ang tanong ko, saan pwede natin kunin yung warm, moist air? Saan ba mas marami yung warm, moist air? Let's continue with the next slide. Alright, do you see this picture that I'm showing you? Nakikita nyo yung picture dyan sa slide. I think this is Typhoon Yolanda's the effect of Typhoon Yolanda in Tacloban. Wherein ito yung nangyari. Right, so let's continue. Tropical cyclone use warm, moist air At saan marami ang warm moist air? Sa mga area kung saan maraming ocean at malapit sa equator. Alright. Eto, try natin ng konting geography kasi I believe that Mr. Senot, no, Sir Javon, will be your AP by next batch, correct? Wala pa kayong AP, ano? Hindi pa kayo nagka-AP.
Yes, sir.
Not yet. So, I'm expecting that after you get to finish your science and ESP by this batch, your next will be your English and your AP. Ang tanong ko, alam ko, this is part of your geography of the lesson to be taught by Mr. Senot. Alright, so, saan ba tayo nakalocate yung Pilipinas? Are we above the equator, on the equator, or below the equator? Kung meron nakakita kayo ng globe or ng mapa, saan ba tayo?
On the equator.
On the equator? Any other guesses?
Sir, above equator.
Below, sir.
Below, above, meron tayo. Alright, so ano ba talaga? Last call. Sabay-sabay natin ang sabihin. Ano ang choice nyo?
Below, sir.
Below.
Below, sir.
Below.
Sir, above.
Sir. Below.
So,
Below.
sa halos lalaki, below. Meron akong narinig na boses na babae, above. So, boys, medyo hindi tayo pinalad. Tama yung babae. Nasa taas tayo ng equator. We're actually found above the equator. However, we're not far from the equator. And we know pretty well na yung equator area is talagang mainit dyan. Mainit dyan kasi mas malapit tayo sa sun kung nasa equator tayo. And in that case, kasi malapit tayo sa equator, mainit nga dyan, marami tayong supply ng warm, moist air. And dahil dyan sa warm, moist air, tapos napapalibutan pa tayo ng oceans, kasi mas marami ang warm, moist air pag malapit tayo sa mga karagatan. Alright? So, ano bang parang nakita nyo? Minalas ba tayo in the Philippines na nandoon tayo nakalocate sa maraming tubig na napapalibutan tayo ng ocean and at the same time we're near the equator kaya nadadaanan tayo ng typhoon? We don't know, no? But in that case, no? Let's get to know more about your geography also. Sa right side ng Pilipinas, ano yung ocean na nakikita natin sa right side ng Pilipinas? Ano yun?
Sir, Pacific.
Alright, correct. That would be the Pacific Ocean, which is the largest ocean, no, among the different oceans in the globe. On the right side, left side of the Philippines naman, ano naman yung nandoon? Kung sa right is the Pacific Ocean, on the left of the Philippines, ano naman yung pangalan sa karagatan dyan?
Sir, West Philippine Sea.
Alright, very good. West Philippine Sea, no, which is being called by the Philippines right now, which is the West Philippine Sea. However, before, anong tawag sa West Philippine Sea?
South China Sea.
Alright, very good. South China Sea. Kaya nga nag-aawa yung Pilipinas at saka yung China sa pangalan na yan at sino yung rightful owner ng area na yan. But you get to see that, no, medyo ang swapang ng China na kinukuha nila yung mga parts na mga dapat atin yung mga yamang dagat doon. No? So, that would be another topic, no, that you can open that one in your AP. Alright, so, how many typhoons does the Philippines experience every year? Merong nagsabi na 20. Let's try to know. Alright? In 2020 alone, the Philippines experienced 23 tropical cyclones, tropical storms, which are actually slightly weak. However, meron tayong 10 typhoons, which is strong. So, ilan yun lahat? 23 at saka 10, ilan yun lahat?
31.
31? 23 plus 10?
Ay, 33, sir.
Alright, 33. Biro mo yan, every year, 33? Ganun ba tayo ka? Ano bang sinasabi, ano bang right term ng kwan natin na lagi tayong nadadaanan ng typhoon? Alright, 33, no? Na weather disturbances passed by in 2020 alone. So how much do we expect for the 2021? Let's hope and pray na hindi masyadong marami. But let's get to continue. Alright, cyclone formation. Sabi ko nga, as I mentioned in the typhoon formation in the first part, it is actually the difference between two air masses. Alright? Dalawang air mass. You still remember your convection? Nagtawag tayo sa heat. Anong nangyayari pag warm air? tumataas, bumababa. Anybody? Anong nangyayari pag warm air? Sa convection, tumataas,
Sir,
bumababa.
tumataas.
Tumataas. Kasi si warm air magaan. Si cold air naman, expected na kasi mabigat
Bumaba,
siya, bumababa. So, can you imagine an air that is, no? Si warm air nasa baba. Kasi magaan siya masyado, aakyat siya papunta sa sky. No, ngayon si cold air nasa taas ng sky, dahil mabigat siya, bababa siya going to the ground. Can you imagine now the movement of that air? No, warm air goes up and cold air goes down. Just try to put and imagine that one. Let me see if I have a picture. Alright. Ganito. Tama. Itong picture na to. Do you see the picture?
Sir, it's still on slide 6.
Slide 6. Do you see the cyclone formation? Photo. Tropical cyclone. A picture. Do you see it?
No, sir, I can't
No,
see
sir.
it.
Let me see my screen. Ay, tama nga, no? It doesn't move. Alright, so let me unshare and then reshare this one again. I hope that you can see this one this time. Yan.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alright.
Yes, sir. Okay na.
Okay na. Alright. Just imagine na meron tayong mabigat na hangin at saka magaan na hangin. Si cold, mabigat. Si warm, magaan. Alright. Just imagine that your cold air is found on top of the sky. Si warm air, nandito sabi niya, warm moist air nasa baba. Alright, tama? Anong mangyayari pag si warm nasa baba? Anong mangyayari sa kanya? Saan siya pupunta? Anybody? Alright. Si warm air na nasa baba, saan siya pupunta? Kasi magaan siya masyado. Anong mangyayari sa kanya?
Tataas.
Tataas,
Sir.
tama. Tataas yan, no? Mag-evaporate yung pataas. However, meron tayong cold air na nasa taas, kasi mabigat siya masyado, anong mangyayari sa kanya? Kasi mabigat yung cold air na nasa taas ng sky, anong mangyayari sa kanya?
Sir Bob.
Sir, baba.
Bababa. So imagine, no? Ito, yung cold air bababa, tapos si warm air tataas. In that case, you get to see that there will be movement of up and down of the air. But think of it this way. Pag bumababa sila, si cold air bababa, si warm air tataas, hindi po sila yung straight lang na aakyat pataas at hindi rin straight na bababa lang yan. In that case, no, because of the differences of two air masses, warm air goes up and cold air goes down, hindi po sila tataas na diretso lang pataas. Ang mangyayari niyan, no, si warm air na pataas, iikot-ikot yan pataas. Hanggang pupunta siya doon sa taas kasi magaan siya. Si cold air naman, kasi mabigat siya, hindi yan dediretso pababa. Pag bumababa yan, iikot din yan na sabay na iikot pababa hanggang, no, it will land on the ocean or wherever that is. So, ang mangyayari dyan, pag merong differences ng two air masses, si warm air pataas, si cold air pababa, they do not, no, fall down or go up in a linear fashion. Instead, they twist. Umiikot sila. So, si cold air umiikot pababa hanggang bumaba. Si cold air, si warm air naman, umiikot pataas hanggang pumunta pataas. In that case, kung talagang marami ang supply ng warm moist air, yung movement na yan, mas bibilis ng bibilis. And in that case now, dahil umiikot na ito, si cold air bumababa paikot, si warm air bumababa at tumataas paikot, and there will be now what you call your tropical cyclone formation. As I mentioned here, this movement of up and down does not happen in a linear fashion, rather in a twisting motion, thus the formation of tropical cyclone. Can you imagine a screw? Yung screw ngayon parang lansa pero merong paikot-ikot na kailangan mong iikutin para maitusok mo.
Yes, sir.
Ganun
Yes,
siya.
sir.
Ganun
Yes,
siya,
sir.
no? Meron siya yung parang paikot na pataas, tapos meron din siyang paikot na pababa. In that case kasi, no, para din siyang screw na nagkakaroon na ngayon ng tinatawag natin na tropical cyclone. So we call that one typhoon in the Asian countries and hurricane in the western countries. Let's continue. Actually, marami pang mga parts dito, no? But let's get continue. So, sabi ko, yan. Now, do you know how to classify your tropical cyclone? Now, this is actually very general, no? Kasi, pag pumunta naman kayo sa different countries, they do not follow this one at some point, no? Minsan, sinasabi nila, iba yung mga numbers dito. But I think this was based on the Japanese tropical cyclone classification, no? So, we have 5. We have 5. Sabi ko nga, una, pag tinitingnan yung merong weather disturbance, sasabihin niya ng newscaster, oy, meron ditong namumuong low pressure area. Yung low pressure area na yan, medyo mabagal pa yan. However, if that low pressure area now has a wind speed of around 61 kilometers per hour, nag-develop siya, ano tawag natin sa pag ano na yung wind speed?
A tropical depression.
Right, call that one now your tropical depression. However, if it goes now from 62 to 88 kilometers per hour, we call that one now your
Tropical storm.
tropical storm. Now, as it goes and up, makita natin, tinatawag pala natin siyang typhoon pag nasaan na siya. 118 kilometers per hour to 220 kilometers per hour. Now, let me ask you, how fast, sa mga sumakay ng mga sasakyan or ng mga motor, what's the fastest speed that nakasakay kayo? In that case, anong pinaka, do you watch, no? Or do you watch or do you see the speedometer of the cars whenever you get to ride, no? Ano yung pinakamabilis yung sinakyang mga sasakyan? How fast was it?
Around 100 kilometers per hour.
Can you imagine your face, no? If you're going to pull out your face outside the window and you're running at around 100 kilometers per hour, what do you feel? Malakas na ba yun?
Yes, sir, the
Yes.
wind.
It's really very fast na. So just imagine a wind speed of around 118 to 220 kilometers per hour. The 220 kilometers per hour is actually how fast a Ferrari goes. 220 kilometers per hour. So imagine a Ferrari, it's really speeding up on a very straight line. Imagine niyo yung bilis niya, ganun kalakas yung typhoon. However, we have the last classification, which is your super typhoon. If anything, it exceeds from 220 kilometers per hour. As I believe, Typhoon Yolanda was around 223 kilometers per hour. Imagine that one. Imagine the wind blowing to your face at around 220 kilometers per hour. What will happen to you? That's the reason why you get to see, no, the effects of Typhoon Yolanda, which was classified as a super typhoon. Imagine at 220 kilometers per hour wind speed. Ganun po siya kalakas. So we have 5, no? Ito yung mga tawag natin sa kanila. So at least, no, you have na idea kung tawag natin. Ano ba yan? TD, Tropical Depression, or TS, or STS, or Typhoon, or ST, which is your super typhoon. Alright, questions? You can ask questions if you have like experiences before about typhoons, or you have questions in mind or doubts in mind. I'm open to your questions for that one. Any questions before we proceed? Let me check the time. Questions? Still have 20 more minutes. Hello? Anybody? Alright, so let's proceed.
Answer.
Alright, so meron tayong agency in the Philippines wherein, no, yung itong agency na ito ang assigned para mag-monitor ng mga weather disturbances natin. But before going to this pag-asa that we have here, do you still know or still remember the name of that agency that monitors earthquake and volcanic eruption? Ano yun? Yung last week na lesson natin. Anong agency na yun?
Sir, PHOONS.
Alright, you have your PHOONS, no? Now this time, for the weather disturbances, we have your pag-asa. Do you know the meaning of pag-asa?
Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services
Alright,
Administration.
very good. No? So we have your Philippine Astronomical, Geographical, Astronomical Services Administration. This is under the Department of Science and Technology or DOST. So si DOST, marami po siyang mga sangay. No, alright, kung si DOST, merong about volcanic eruption, earthquake, it's PVOX. Pag si DOST naman, merong mga weather disturbances na si Pag-asa naman yung gagalaw dyan. Now, we have your tropical cyclone of the season is given a name that starts with letter A. Do you still remember kung ano yung first name natin ngayon, first na naka-assign na pangalan for 2021? For the first tropical cyclone na dadaan, ano yung pangalan sa kanya? Ano yung nabigay na pangalan for 2021? Anybody? Alright, let me show you here. Do you still see, you see this one? Photo?
Sir, no.
Let me see. Hindi
No, sir.
hindi klaro, ano?
Sir, it's still showing slide 12.
I'm sorry. Why is it happening this way? Alright, slide 12. Alright, sorry. Let me unshare and reshare the screen again. Why is it?
Sir, okay.
Alright, wait lang. Alright. Do you see it now? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Alright, yung Pag-asa.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so you get to see this one now. Philippine Tropical Cyclone names. These are the names being assigned for 2021. Nakita niyo yung first name dito? Ano yung unang pangalan na pag merong dumaan na typhoon, ito yung pangalan na ibibigay natin sa kanya? Do you see it? What's the name? Hello? Nakikita niyo ba or should I scan this one? Palakin ko.
Sir, medyo nagbasit.
Basit, alright.
Sir.
Alright, no makita yun.
Typhoon Auring.
Alright, we have your Typhoon Auring, no? Nakikita nyo dyan sa photo nyo na we have your 2021, 2025, 2029, and 2023. Do you see that one?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Alright.
Yes, sir.
Ito yung mga years na gagamitin natin ulit yung mga pangalan na yan. So, sa 2021, gagamitin natin ulit yung mga set na mapangalan. Actually, aabot pa to hanggang sa baba, no? Ang pwede ko lang na screenshot is hanggang H. Pero this goes at around until letter Z. So if you can still imagine, no, ilan ba yung letra ng alphabet natin? Ganon karami ang dumadaan sa Pilipinas. So meron tayong A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Itong mga pangalan. So sa 2021, ito yung mga pangalan na naka-assign. Sa 2022, ito yung mga pangalan na naka-assign. Sa 2023, ito yung mga pangalan na naka-assign. So we can recycle names, alright? So 2025 ulit, babalik tayo sa pangalan dito. Tapos babalik tayo sa 2026, ito na mga set. Do you get the point of how they name their our typhoons? Alright? Alright, sorry. Somebody is still joining the one. Right, na late ito. Alright. Sige, tanong ko na lang. Magtatanong ako. Can we recycle names of typhoon? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Nakikita nyo naman dito na sa 2025 babalik tayo sa mga pangalan nito. Pero ang tanong ko, kailan natin hindi pwedeng i-recycle yung pangalan ng typhoon?
Super typhoons.
Super typhoons, very good. Yes, that would be the one of those things na pwede nating i-consider as super typhoon, but not everything, no? When can we consider not to name that typhoon name again? Kailan natin hindi siya pwedeng gamitin na ulit? Anybody?
Sir, when the typhoon made a great impact to the country.
Alright, very good. Can you give me an exact description of that great impact? Ano bang ibig sabihin yung great impact? Tama yung sinabi mo, pero paano natin i-describe yung great impact?
It made a lot of effect to
Alright.
the
Right, very good.
country.
Alright. Let me just proceed before we're going to ano. Is it possible to reuse the name of typhoons? Your answer is yes. Pero kailan tayo hindi pwedeng gumamit ng pangalan ng typhoon? If you have your modules with you, that would be your page 91. Now, above that question is the answer to my question. Is it possible? Yes. But, if that typhoon caused around at least 300 deaths, no? 300 ang namatay or more, nag-cause ng agricultural damages and infrastructural damages, the names cannot be used again anymore. Can we still use the name Typhoon Yolanda? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Not anymore. Hindi na po pwede gamitin si Typhoon Yolanda kasi 3,000 po ang pinatay ni Typhoon Yolanda. Now, you still remember the one that happened in si Ulysses. Can we still use the name Ulysses? Basing on the news that you've heard. Yes, it caused agricultural damage, it caused infrastructural damage, but did it reach around 300 deaths? I doubt, So more or less pwede pa natin gamitin si Ulysses. But Typhoon Yolanda, not anymore. Alright, hindi natin siya pwedeng gamitin kasi alam na natin that Typhoon Yolanda caused pasok sa requirement si Typhoon Yolanda sa mga itong requirement na hindi na natin siya pwedeng gamitin ulit yung pangalan niya. My question would be, when does a typhoon weaken? Kailan naman hihina si typhoon? Guess, anybody? Paano ba nawawala si typhoon?
Yes, blood.
Kailan ba siya nawawala? Paano nawawalang typhoon or kailan siya humihina?
When they move over one.
Yes. Anybody? Malapit na tayo matapos. Kailan ba humihina si typhoon?
Sir, pag medyo matagal sa isang island.
Alright. Tagal sa island. Alright. Where do we get the warm moist air? Saan ba natin usually nakukuha yung warm moist air? Anybody? Warm moist air. Kasi 'di ba yun yung nagpapalakas sa typhoon, warm moist air. Saan tayo nakakakuha ng warm at saka moist na air?
Ocean.
Alright, very good. Ocean, tama. Ocean. Kaya nga usually nabubuo yung mga typhoon natin nasa ocean pala sila. Pero kailan sila bumabagal? Pag
Umaalis.
Umaalis papunta saan?
Cold.
Sa cold? Alright.
Dry air.
Alright, cold dry air. Yun nga usually sinasabi natin, no? If only the Pacific Ocean is a cold ocean, then typhoon will not develop. However, because the Pacific Ocean is near the equator, mainit po siya talaga. Medyo mainit siya, kaya nagkokos po siya ng typhoon. Pero kailan nawawala or kailan humihina yung typhoon? Siyempre, tanggalin natin yung warm moist air. Saan ba lesser ang warm moist air? Kung sabi nyo maraming warm moist air sa ocean, saan less ang warm moist air? Yan naman tanong ko. Guess. Pwede kayong mag-guess. Guess. Anybody? Sa ocean maraming warm moist air. So therefore, saan po humihina or nauubos yung warm moist air? Saan?
Sir, land.
Alright, tama. Whenever a typhoon starts to land on the land masses sa mga island yung minention earlier, humihina po ang typhoon. Kasi po, in the ocean, there are lots of your warm moist air. However, there is less sa mga lupain. Therefore, typhoon will weaken when it starts to landfall. However, it doesn't happen that way most of the time. Minsan, hindi po nangyayaring ganun. Kasi in Typhoon Yolanda, what happened there, even naglandfall siya, it maintained its strength the same as the one when it was still on ocean. So, nangyari doon, maybe because of the climate change, that there were also still lots of warm moist air supplied in the land in Tacloban, wherein Typhoon Yolanda still maintained its strength even if it landfall. Pero no, theoretically, when you talk about your science in this case, usually humihina yung typhoon pag nagla-landfall. Alright? So, ito na yung sinasabi ko. Kasi nga, sa ocean siya malakas. Pero pag nagla-landfall siya, medyo humihina yan. Alright? Let me continue. We still have 10 more minutes, I think. So, ito. This happened in a typhoon. I'm so biased with Typhoon Yolanda because I was there in Visayas still when this one happened, and I felt the strength of Typhoon Yolanda. Alright. So, this also, no? Why is the Philippines prone to typhoons? Ano kaya yung, bakit kaya suki si Pilipinas sa mga typhoon? Ano yung palagay nyo na bakit suki tayo talaga sa typhoon?
Because we are surrounded by the ocean.
Very good. Isa yan. Alright. Isa yan. Ano pa? Tama yun. Ano pa?
The climate.
The climate, what about it? Some more.
It's
Yes.
in the
Continues.
tropical zone, so it's mostly like warm.
Alright. No, we can consider that one, which is also true. So, why is it the Philippines is prone to typhoons? Because of these different factors that affect us. We are located near the equator. And since we're located near the equator, it's hotter there. And expect hotter ocean and expect more supply of the warm, moist air. Next would be, we are surrounded with a very big water mass. Tama ngayon, sinabi natin, no? The Philippines on the right, we have the Pacific Ocean. On the left, we have the West Philippine Sea or the South China Sea. So expected that we are surrounded with water, expect that we have lots of abundant supply of warm, moist air. And therefore, if there are lots of warm, moist air, there will be lots of weather disturbances. So ano bang masasabi natin? Minalas ba tayo sa posisyon ng Pilipinas sa mapa? Bakit lagi tayong nadadaanan ng typhoon? No? So, yun yung mga question na minsan nakakapagtaka, no? Why is it that Philippines, it's not a developed country, but why is it that we're always being suki ng mga natural calamities just like an earthquake and even your typhoons? Alright, so let's continue kasi we still have some more few minutes na lang. So you have your Pag-asa. You already have discussed this one, no? Pag-asa, the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration. Tapos, we have your PAR. Alam niyo yung PAR?
Yes, sir.
You have your PAR, which is your Philippine Area of Responsibility. That is the area wherein pag pumasok na yung typhoon dyan sa Philippine Area of Responsibility, we already own the typhoon. Atin na yan. Alright, so that's the reason why, no? We should know saan ba banda yung yung PAR natin. Do you know the area wherein we are enclosed with the gaano kalaki yung PAR natin? Alright, that's the reason why you have this activity that you are going to pass, no, as part of your submission. We have your PAR, and makikita natin niya. Do you see the broken lines? The black ones there? Hello?
Sir, yung slide po nasa slide 19 po.
Ala ka. Wait lang. Why is it that we're still on slide 19? Share ulit.
Sir, okay na po.
Okay na ganito? Alright, so let me proceed. Do you see now?
Yes, sir.
The PAR? So, we have the
Yes.
Philippine Area of Responsibility. You get to see here the black ones there. That would be your Philippine Area of Responsibility. However, you have an activity nandyan, no? Meron tayong mga coordinates na binigay ng activity dyan. You have here your longitude. Ito yung patayo na linya. We have your 109 degrees, 110 degrees, 115 degrees, 120 degrees. Ito yung longitude. Yung latitude natin, meron din tayong ganito. So, what you're going to do is you're going to plot those points, no, in your activity, no, basing, kasi meron kayong nakitang mapa dyan, basing on the supplied coordinates there in your activity. And afterwards, you're going to connect those points. Now you can see the Philippine Area of Responsibility. Ito na yung PAR. Actually, ito yung picture, no? So, Pero mas gusto kong gawin nyo, you get to plot that points really well dyan sa activity nyo. So, yung PAR lang is just giving us the idea that if a typhoon goes into the Philippine area of responsibility, we own that typhoon already. Now, however, we'd like to also know, no, you as a student, gusto ko rin na matuto nyong how to track the movement of typhoons. If you get to see here Typhoon Ulysses, no, as you should have mentioned earlier, ito po yung movement ni Typhoon Ulysses during that time na dumaan siya nung November. So in that case, meron kayong activity din dyan, no, that you are to plot those different points. I think in page 93, that you are to plot those different points there of the movement of, I think that is Typhoon Pepeng, no? So you're going to plot those points and do something like this one also as part of your activity dyan. So, anong gagawin natin doon? You are to plot the points for you to be able to determine the Philippine area of responsibility, and at the same time, you are to track the typhoon, no? Kung ano yung movement ng typhoon. Para alam natin kung sino mga area ng Philippines ang maghahanda for it. Alright? Do you understand? Can you imagine?
Yes, sir.
Alright. Sir Javon, your AP teacher, mentioned that he will be also be teaching about latitude and longitude, no? The coordinates that you have here. Am I stuck in the previous slide? Because what I'm looking right now is a bigger picture of Typhoon Ulysses. Is that the one that you're seeing right now?
Sir, we're seeing slide 26. Ay, 27.
27. It should be 28.
Sir, okay na po.
Alright. So, 28. Alright. So, ito, no? Ito yung dapat makita nyo. So, what you're going to do, you're going to plot those different points there in your page 93, I think, and yun. Yun yung track ng typhoon. Alright? So, if you don't understand anything about it, you can just PM me anytime, no? Send image of how we're going to do that one. Pero yun yung activity nyo for the second quarter. Alright? So, tracking the typhoon and trying to know the Philippine area of responsibility. Alright, questions? Questions?
None, sir.
Alright, let's proceed. So, ito na yung sinabi ko. Plot the points sa page 92 for you to determine the PAR, the Philippine Area of Responsibility. Page 94, makita nyo na meron diyang maraming mga numbers. Those are actually coordinates. Determine the movement of tropical typhoons, tropical storm Sendong pala. Si Sendong ito. Alright. Alright. So, we have your page 94. So, last na natin to. No? So, before, during, and after na lang tayo, anong gagawin. Alright, as I mentioned last time, no? The difference between typhoon and earthquake. Ano bang difference ng typhoon and earthquake? In terms of yung damage or sakuna na pwede nilang ibigay sa atin. Ano bang difference ng earthquake sa typhoon? Anybody still remember that one? Last 3 slides. Anybody? How does an earthquake differ from a typhoon in terms of the before, during, and after? Yes? Are you still there? Am I alone? I'm hearing voice. Merong kumakanta. Tunog nung mga Afrikanong nagdadala ng kabaong. Anybody? Or do you see this one? Tika na lang. Baka hindi nyo nakikita eh. Alright. Before, during, and after. Alam nyo na to eh. It's mostly on the preparation. But just to give you an idea, no? Mas nakaka-prepare tayo sa typhoon kesa sa earthquake. Kasi then again, alam natin sa earthquake, no? In the earthquake, it's hard for us to predict when an earthquake happens. No one knows in the next few minutes an earthquake happen. Unlike a typhoon usually develops from the Pacific Ocean, and we get to track and monitor the movement of typhoon pag dadaan ba sa Pilipinas or hindi ba dadaan or magla-landfall ba or hindi. But in that case, we can prepare more on a typhoon compared to an earthquake. So what are we going to prepare? Emergency kit. Ano bang pwede nating ilagay dyan sa emergency kit? So ito yung mga pwede nating ilagay, no? We have also your evacuation routes. Alright. Ito usually in a family, you need to know where to meet each other if in case that you have lang mga ganitong mga pangyayari. Let's say for example, nasa eskwelaan ka, si mother mo nasa market, si father mo nasa opisina. Pag nangyari na merong typhoon, no, at hindi kayo magkakasama-sama, at least meron kayong alam na lugar na pwede ninyong pagmitan if ever things like this may happen. Let's say for example, your father mentioned that if things happen this way and that way, let's always meet at the church. Let's meet at your uncle's house na ganito, ganyan. So, sa family, dapat pag-usapan nyo kung saan kayo mag-evacuate in cases of things like this. Next would be stay away from low-lying areas because it's prone to flood. You may have survived the onslaught of the typhoon. However, because of the effects of the typhoon which caused flood, nalunod ka, doon ka namatay. Hindi mismo sa typhoon. Alright? So, merong mga ganyan. So, ano bang gagawin natin during? Please, do not do this one, no? Nasa picture. Do you still see the picture? Do you see the during now?
Yes, sir.
Alright. So, do not panic. Stay indoors. Stay away from flood waters. Ano ba yung effect natin? No? Stay away from flood waters. Ano bang nakakatakot dyan? Anybody?
Sir, infection.
Infection, no? Or meron yung sinasabi nilang mga, if you have open wounds and alam natin na yung tubig baha na yan is actually not clean and there are urine of yung ihi ng daga, no? We can get what you call your leptospirosis. However, stay also away from the floodwaters is because hindi natin alam, baka hindi nag-brown out si Beneco at natumba yung poste at yung poste na yan, no, may kuryente pa at nasa tubig ka, what will happen to you?
Ako kuryente.
Kuryente ka, namatay ka sa kuryente. Kaya usually, no, you know that Beneco or other electrical companies usually turn off their supply pag malakas yung typhoon and it causes, no, mga poste na natutumba, automatic iba-brown out yan. Kasi baka merong taong pumunta sa tubig, may kuryente yun, and we know that water is a conductor of electricity, it may cause electrocution. At the same time, during no, kailangan mong alam kung saan papunta si typhoon. Dumaan na ba? Or paparating pa lang ba? Dapat alam. Yan. Alright, so do not panic sa iwan fukan. Yun yung sabi ko. So anong gagawin natin after? Make sure that the area is safe before returning. Pag yung bahay nyo medyo talagang damage, no, wag basta-basta pumasok. And at the same time, after, you need to make necessary repairs to your house. Para safe na pwedeng balikan yung bahay na yan. If you get to see the picture here, parang wala na silang babalikan. Alright, so that's actually everything, no? Na igagawin nyo for this is the lesson number 8, I think, no, for the second quarter. So we still have last lesson, which is lesson 9. However, before I'm going to end this kind of sa after. Questions, please. Still have questions. Anybody? Alright, baka na-disconnect ako. Am I disconnected?
No, sir.
Alright. So, let's just get to discuss what you're going to pass. So, still, no, around in your activity 7, yung hindi pa nag-pass nung crossword puzzle, you're going to pass that crossword related to your earthquake. For your as part of your performance task for the second quarter, this is what you're going to do. You're going to do the project for the second quarter found in your page 97. You're going to create an infographics. I know that you already know, no, how to, maybe some of you are really very good in drawing while others are not. However, ang gagawin nyo is you're going to draw this one, something like this one. Ito yung sinatawag nating infographics. Ano ba yung infographics? Baka yung nasa isip nyo, infographics is just a poster. When you talk about poster, it's purely drawing. When you talk also about slogan, it's purely writing. However, in the infographics is a mixture of your writing, which are actually information, and at the same time, drawing of that information you're showing. So in this case, for example, Typhoon Trami and the Southwest Monsoon, ito yung example ng infographics. I think that you also have seen one there in your module of an example of your infographics. So, nung gagawin, ito yung ipapass nyo po sa akin, no, yung infographics na ito. So, let your creativity, no, bahala na kayo sa creativity niyo, how you're going to make that one, no? I suggest that if you're going to do this one, no, matapos yung ginawa ito, just take a clear photo of this one. So, also at the same time, I encourage you to please color them, no? Wag lang yung pure na pininsil nyo or binolpen nyo lang tapos na. Just take a clear photo of this one and send this one through my messenger or through the email. If talagang mahirap, you can send a copy of this one and drop it sa school or sa dropping area, but just give me, no, a heads up na nag-drop po kayo doon. So, questions about infographics? Anybody?
Sir, pwede pong mag-include ng digital art.
Digital art. Are you into digital art ba? Anong gamit mo? Anong gamit mong app dyan or program dyan for digital art? Or are you just copy-pasting it?
Sir, I can either draw naman po digital or I can copy or paste if that's okay.
Alright, yeah, kasi some others are using Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop. In that case, you can do that one, no, sa kwan. So, sige, since you open up about digital art, no, basta yung gusto ko lang, at least if you're going to do digital art, at some point, hindi yung copy-paste na you just get a clip art of this one, then you paste it there, then you got the clip art sa Google naman, is sinearch mo, then you just paste it there. That's not actually that's not actually digital art, but more of a publishing type of style, no, na nag-copy-copy ka lang, pinaste-paste mo lang dyan, binuo mo, tapos dyan na. When you talk about digital art, you started it from scratch. You have your drawing pad, so talagang nag-draw ka doon, tapos bago mo pinis dyan. If that's what you mean, then I would allow the digital art. Alright? So yung talagang ginawa mo na nag-draw ka, if you're using Illustrator or any other apps that you're, programming apps that you're doing. However, if it's just a mashing or yung kinuha ka lang, nag-copy-paste ka lang, tapos pinis mo dyan, tapos nabuo yan, it's not anymore digital art. So, if ganun yung point mo, I'd rather encourage you to draw. However, if you can start from the scratch, talaga from a digital art scenario, then I would allow that one.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any others? Other questions? Questions? Before we get to end this one, I'll be sending a copy of this activities you're going to pass for lesson. This should be lesson 8, sorry. Anybody?
No, sir.
Wala na? Alright, if there are none, then thank you again for your time. Let me see here yung ilan tayo. We're just 25 right now. I hope that dadami tayo. Alright, nagkuhan pala si Sir Loyola. Alright, so yun na nga, no? So I hope that we get to still be more next time. Meron yung iba na-disconnect, hindi na nag-rejoin ulit. Sana yung si Mr. Aquino. Comment doon sa photo ko, hindi naman nag-reconnect ulit. But anyway, thank you very much for joining this discussion. I hope that we can still continue to maintain the number or even increase the number by next time. So ano ba expect natin sa next na lesson natin? We'll be talking about your comets, your meteors, and your asteroids. So we're going to try to differentiate how does an asteroid differ from a comet, how does a comet differ from a meteor. Alright, so yung mga meteor shower, yung mga comets na dumadaan once every 300 years, so those different stuff that we're going to discuss next time. Alright, so I think it's already 11:08, at least, no, medyo nag-exceed ako ng konti, but I think I squeezed everything in for us to be able to maintain this 1 hour lang na discussion. Alright, so questions before I get to end this one? Questions?
None, sir.
None so far? Alright, kung wala na, then we'll thank you very much again for joining. We'll see each other once again maybe by Tuesday. For those who are not able to take the quiz, alright, I'm opening the quiz sa Google Docs again. No, but I'm going to give incentives for those who are able to do that one earlier kasi naka timestamp naman. And that person sa section C na nag-answer ng madaling araw at around 4 a.m., kung sino ka man, PM me, because for me to be able to know na wala naman akong estudyante na pangalan na Isaac Newton. So, hindi ko alam kung sino nag-answer nun. Basta anybody ng section C na nag-answer ng madaling araw 4 a.m. Alright. Kung sino ka man, magpakilala ka. Alright, without further much ado, thank you very much and we'll see each other on Tuesday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.